Pinpoint weather on NBC5 News is brought to you by the Cow Creek Umpqua Tribe.
Well, we got sunshine and we got some nice temperatures to start off this Wednesday morning. Again, we're going to be getting into the heat for the next several days, but thankfully we're going to be cooling off. Still going to be kind of mild in the morning hours, sitting into the 50s and lower 60s, especially here in the valley. So thankfully we do cool off in the overnight hours. That does bring in some relief for this heat, but the heat is going to continue to climb in those highs as we're getting through the rest of this week. We'll slightly cool off a little bit for this weekend as a upper level system pushes into our region. Otherwise, things are going to be staying on the quiet side. More heat expected as we get into the start of next week as well. We will see the potential of some isolated storms across our eastern counties, especially talking about Lake and Modoc County. A little bit better chances for these isolated storms as we get through the rest of this week, even looking into Sunday. But with the heat, of course, especially if you're outdoors in these conditions, make sure you know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke, especially if you're out there working in this heat. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, drinking plenty of water, wearing sunscreen, wearing some loose clothing that's covering most of your body to allow yourself to cool off. Find some AC or some cooler air out in the shade if you have to, if you are feeling any of these symptoms. Of course, heat stroke is definitely the more serious of these conditions. Now, we have the heat, we have the ridge of high pressure. It's down here in the southwest. You see that clear sky. You kind of see the environment moving around this ridge of high pressure with showers, clouds extending on the eastern half of this high, and there's where it's located right now. This high stays pretty strong here across the southwest and the west over the next few days. We're hot, but it's even hotter into the triple digits further south and southwest for the next few days. We'll actually cool off a little bit. Here's that next storm system as we get into this weekend. Now, moving around this ridge of high pressure is a little bit of some moisture, and this is what brings in that chance for some showers and storms. You kind of see that in the afternoon hours right there. Saturday looks to be much better across to our east, looking at portions of Washington, eastern Oregon, and continuing further east, but we might see some activity developing in our eastern counties before the next ridge builds in and starts to warm us up yet again. So when we look at rain potential over the next 5 days, again, nothing widespread. We stay dry for most of the area, but we see some isolated spots to get some rainfall. That means still a lot of the area, even in our eastern counties, will continue to stay dry. Look at a pinpoint forecast for today. If you're going to be out and about, we'll have some streaming high clouds across the area. Otherwise, quiet conditions with plenty of sunshine. When we start to get into Thursday and Friday, especially in the afternoon hours, with that moisture moving around the ridge of high, we'll see these developing little cells popping up when we're getting into the heat of the day, into that 3 to 6 p.m. range with these isolated storms. Again, most of this stays out further to the east and stays very isolated. There is a risk for today for the abnormally high waves and surf for the coastline. This continues until this evening, so make sure you're staying off the rocks and jetties. Otherwise, we look at the 7-day forecast, pretty quiet, plenty of sunshine with some clouds on and off for the next few days. We'll see some increasing clouds Saturday through early Sunday, as well as a bit more wind. Breezy conditions for both days and cooling off from some mid-90s to the upper 80s, and morning lows staying into the 50s and lower 60s. The warmest morning at 62 for Saturday morning. The front moves through. This is going to cool us off in our eastern counties from 90 degrees to the upper 80s, even looking at mid 80s to start next week with more sunshine. But again, Thursday through Saturday, chance for some isolated storms. Again, that's mainly for Lake and even Modoc County, but can't rule out portions of Klamath and even Siskiyou County seeing some isolated showers and storms. Highs will climb into the upper 90s tomorrow and Friday into Northern California before they cool off. Now, the coastline, Checo effect for Brookings. They're looking at 70s today, potentially getting into the 80s tomorrow, and then cooling back off to the lower to mid 60s as we end out this week.